Hey everyone, Aaron here. So I'm obviously doing an anime tag. I was tagged by my good friend Lita Kino. I will put link to her channel in the description box below. There's about 7 questions here. Some of them are really simple, I think, for a tag, and then others are a little bit more complicated. Stuff that I know a few of them I had to think about for a couple minutes and go, okay, this is what I want to answer with. Some of these also might be my Q&A video, which probably is going to come up, I want to say maybe next week or so, so look forward to that. I will also mention who I'll be tagging at the end of the video, so obviously, to find out who, you have to watch the whole video. I mean, they'll be in the description box, so you kind of will figure out who it is too. I'll have links to their channels also in the description box, so yeah, kind of a spoiler, but watch the video anyway so you can get some more insight on some of my favorite stuff in general. So the first question I have is, how old were you when you first started watching anime? Realistically, I'd have to say probably 6 or 7 years old. At least my memories of like watching stuff like Pokemon and stuff like that came into play during when I was like, around 6 or 7 years old, I think. It was one of those things too. When I started watching anime, I really didn't understand, because I mean, in the West, we knew what anime was per se, but at the same time, I always thought of it as just regular cartoons. Like, I never thought of Pokemon or Digimon or stuff like that as anime, at least until later on in life. But I consider that when I was around that age, that's when I first started watching anime. So second question is, what is your first anime? And this is something that I know it's kind of contradictory, because I said Pokemon and Digimon, obviously those are like the big ones. What's weird about me is that really my first anime has to be Bio Boosted Armor Guyver, and I'm using an image from the newer series, but I watched the original 12 episode series. It was like split into 2 parts. What's funny is that this is what I consider probably my first venture into real anime. Like, I mean, stuff that was out of the box, in terms of not Pokemon or Digimon quality or even Dragon Ball Z, but this right here was what I first started really loving anime. And from here on, this is where I started watching stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that, because I saw the animation for this and it was very mature for my age. I mean, I was like, I think 7 years old at the time, or maybe around like maybe 8 years old at the time when I saw this. But what was interesting was I was raised in a way where my parents taught me, difference between right and wrong, etc. I've talked about this before in my other, I think, other anime tag, but I'll say it really fast in case you're, new to my channel. My parents taught me very early on, right and wrong, and I was very mature for my age, even when I was a kid, in terms of like, stuff like this. So like violence and stuff like that, I understood it. I understood that, stuff like that happening in real life versus the, depictions of video games or anime were a big thing. So, even though Bio Boosted Armor Guyver was meant for a more mature audience, I watched it when I was a kid. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing, and of course that's when my anime love even started going further. All right, excuse me. Third question is, what is your favorite anime of all time? Now, many of you know Clannad was my favorite anime of all time. It was top 1 out of my top 10 anime of all time. It was pushed back, unfortunately, but also fortunately by ReZero. I really, really love ReZero. I think ReZero is one of those shows that I have seen now almost twice, and it is one of those shows that I can't wait to buy it. Like, I want to buy the whole thing when it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD, whatever. I will buy the whole thing. If they have collector's editions, I will buy those. It was just one of those series that I think really revolutionized how an anime looked like it was not going to be that popular, and then just blew up in the anime community. I mean, this thing, people were talking about ReZero as a footnote originally. No one was really hyped about it. People were like, it looks interesting, I'll watch it, or it's another one of those fantasy worlds, things and all that. But, then you watch the first episode and you went, holy shit, wow. And for the people that kept going with the series, they're like, wow, every week it was a cliffhanger that wanted make you watch another episode, that made you want to watch another episode. It wasn't a cliffhanger like a slap to the face cliffhanger. It was more so a well-to-do, a well-done, executed-wise cliffhanger. Like, you just wanted to see what further adventures awaited Subaru and the cast of characters that you kind of grow to love in the series in general. But I loved every episode. I don't think there was ever an episode that I was like, oh, this is okay, or this is not as good. I always thought that they were always really, really well done, and I loved how Subaru as a character really represented something that when it gets the mold of traditional characters, I think a lot of the characters in ReZero in general were done very well. So I really feel that ReZero is definitely my top anime of all time. Clannad, it'd be a second right there. It's not, much further away. It's almost tied at times with me in my mind and in my heart, but ReZero definitely takes the first spot. All right, what is your favorite male anime character? Now, this one, This one took me some time. I won't lie to you guys. This took me some time. I went with Taichi from Kokoro Connect, and the reason why is kind of simple. Taichi, in many ways, kind of reminds me of myself, and not in his wrestling stuff, because I'm not a big fan of wrestling. I kind of can't stand wrestling, but Taichi loves wrestling. But Taichi says in many episodes that he is willing to sacrifice his own happiness at times and his own, kind of concepts for helping people. And in many ways, like that's not to pat myself on the back, but I'm the same way where, I've sacrificed a lot of my energy and a lot of time into people sometimes that ask for my help or, just need someone to talk to or listen to. And I'll be right there talking to them. And sometimes, there are times where I'm dealing with my own stuff, my own issues. And, regardless, even if I'm dealing with my own world of issues that I can think of off the top of my head, like for example, when I had my breakup not that long ago, I had to deal with that, but then other people were asking me for advice on other things, and I was like trying to help them with that too, and it's hard sometimes, you have to sacrifice a lot to help people out when it comes to that. And like I said, I'm not trying to like give myself an ego boost or say like, oh, I'm such a good person. I don't want to do that by any means, but it just Taichi as a character reminds me of that because he has to do that very often in the show too, where he sometimes gets unhappy but his happiness comes back because he's helping his friends out and he's trying his hardest to help his friends out. And I'm very similar to that because for me at least, I'm happiest when my friends are happy and my family's happy, and that's what makes me happy. So even if I'm dealing with a whole bunch of stuff and I can help someone out, I'll be like, okay, let me help you out, and in turn that actually will help me out. They'll actually make me happy, or at least take away some of my worries and kind of drama and stuff like that, and let me focus on something else and help them out. So I think that Taichi is one of my favorite characters for that reason. If I have a runner-up character, it'd be Kion, because almost in a polar opposite, Kion is like, I don't care about anything, I just kind of go through everything, from Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Kion is a badass character in his own right because he's so normal, but at the same time he has so much shit that he has to deal with, and it's just funny how his reactions are. So he'd be a runner-up for like favorite male characters. All right, I believe this is number 5. Yeah, 5. Who is your favorite female character? Senju Gahara from Bakemonogatari. I love Senju Gahara. I tell people that she is my favorite girl probably in any anime for the sheer fact that not only is she badass, but she's tough as nails. She's a tsundere, which I love tsunderes. And here's the major fact too. This is a girl that, this is not really per se a spoiler. I'm not going to say when it happens in the show, but I'll say one line that I think makes her so great. So in one of the arcs, they're fighting against a godlike deity, and Araragi is in like danger essentially of this demon killing him, this god. And so Senju Gahara goes up to this god and says, hey, listen, he's about to graduate soon, okay? I want to graduate with him. So we're going to graduate first, then you can kill him. I don't care about that after. But until then, you can't kill him. And the god's like, I can do whatever I want. She goes, no, listen, you don't understand. If you don't let us graduate together, and if he dies before me, I'm going to come over here and kill you. I don't care how I'm going to do it, or I don't care what I'm going to have to sacrifice to do it, but I will do it. Senju Gahara has no power whatsoever. She has no physical aptitude besides being a tough as nails girl. But she can't really fight per se. She can't really do anything besides, occasionally use staplers and scissors in a creepy manner. But she can't do anything. And she went up against the god and told her off. I mean, that's something badass. How many girls can you say are normal that go against gods and stuff like that in anime? That's pretty freaking awesome to me. So Senju Gahara, best waifu, best girl in any anime. Now, the number 6 is, what is your favorite anime genre? I said almost anime. I don't know why. What's your favorite anime genre? So for me, and this actually kind of works in for number 7 also, but I'll stick with number 6 for now. It would definitely be romance. I am a big romantic at heart. I love romance anime. I love romance novels and stuff like that. I am picky. Like, I tell people this. Like, people think, oh, you read like every type of romance story or you watch every romance anime. No, I'm very picky with it. Like, it's my favorite genre, but I also feel that it can be killed off by how it's done. There are too many times where romance anime and just romance stories in general are very cliche, or they're not done in a very good manner, or they're, like, oh, I've seen this before. Not even just cliche, but in the sense like, it's just been done before. So I guess it's still under the wording of cliche, but you get what I mean. But for me, romance is, I think, one of the best anime genres, only because it's always something different. It's, when it's done correctly, I should say. That's being, I don't want to be hypocritical, but when it's done correctly, it can be something that's really awe-inspiring. It can make you cry. It can make you think about your own relationships. It can be something that maybe makes you want to strive to be a better person in general. Maybe gives you ideas of how to be a better person. I think that is a very good example of a good romance anime. And in general, romance anime, it just is something that always to me can captivate me, because you see these characters going through various dramas, even melodrama in many ways, and just watching that on screen unfold, it's so simple yet so deep and so emotionally complex that it makes for such a great story. I mean, action, adventure, supernatural, psychological, all those genres are great too in their own right, but I think romance is something that at times it might not even have any action. It might be very simple. It might be just a slice of life, but it can have so many emotions, and it can send chills down your spine when done correctly. And why I have Garden of Words up on the screen is because this is a romance movie that came out, and I think Garden of Words was a perfect example of a romance anime story being done in something very unique, and also at the same time being very visually stunning. But more so, it just went against the common concepts of romance. Like, the kid was falling in love with a teacher, and obviously that's a taboo concept. Like she's an older woman, it's a teacher, etc. But it didn't do it in a creepy manner. It never did it in a way that showed any lustful things. It more so had a character just I think every guy has a crush on a teacher eventually at one point in their life, or someone older than them, and it just went and made me feel like, oh wow, I can understand what the character's going through. I can relate to him a little bit, and it was just interesting to see the characters on screen having to deal with this as time went on, of course, in the story. I'm not gonna spoil it obviously, but it was just an amazing movie. But it shows you that romance genre of anime can be something so powerful and so thought-provoking, even more than I think something like with action, things blowing up on screen nonstop. I mean, it just, for me, is my favorite genre. And I talked about that for a long time, but I apologize. But I know people, probably want to know why is it your favorite, right? So, final question, number 7. What do you prefer, anime or manga? And like I said, this kind of ties in with this. Obviously anime. I hate to say it. I love reading. I am a huge reader. I mean, I think I'm a bookworm in many concepts. But the thing with me is that, as much as I love reading, if I had to choose between manga or anime in this case, I'd definitely have to go anime. I think on-screen visuals and movement is something that conveys, imagery better and conveys story better. Now, don't get me wrong, manga can be done very well too. The fact that you look at something and see moving images in your mind at least. But I feel like watching anime is a simpler way of doing it, a simpler medium, and it just works better for me. And I think that there's more times that I feel like I enjoy anime more than manga. There was a time where I used to read a lot of manga, and it went down to not went down to price, but it went down for me in terms of my love for that, because more so I started more watching anime because of the fact that manga, first off, is kind of expensive. If you read it online, of course, illegally, then it's cheap as hell because it's free. But to me, I don't like doing that. I like to own manga. There's a very few series. There's a very few, I think maybe 3 or 4 series I'm reading online at the moment. But I typically will then try to either buy the series when it comes out, or I will try to buy the series in general if I can. But even more so, I just don't like reading on a tablet or on the computer or stuff like that. I like reading on, an actual book. And thus, anime, though, is something that, you can watch on a phone, you can watch on a tablet, you can watch on TV, etc., and get so many more emotions and so many more visuals and stuff like that. So I just feel like anime is something I would choose over manga any day of the week, to be honest. Alright, guys. So, now time to pick out who I'm going to be tagging. So similar to Lita, I'm going to be tagging 4 people. I'm going to be tagging the following people. I will have links to all their channels in the description box below. Check out their channels. They're all amazing people. So I'm going to be tagging Kaga. I'm going to be tagging Lotus. I'm going to be tagging Memory. And I'm going to be tagging Mr. Zen Lopez. Now, all these people, I want you guys to do the tag if you can. Listen, you're not obligated to do the tag, obviously, but if you can, that'd be awesome. Keep the tag alive. That's always one of the coolest things about anime tags, I think, is when you start seeing them blow up on 50,000 different channels and shit like that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this tag. It was a little long, but you know what? I think that you guys, if you want more information on me, obviously, if you like this tag, feel free to subscribe. I'm going to be having the Q&A video, so I'm going to make that, of course, obviously way longer, because I did get asked a lot of questions. I was blown away by how many people asked me questions, and of course everyone asked me several questions, so I'll be doing that probably in the next coming weeks, so definitely go check that out. Anyways, guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this. I will talk to you later. Have a great, blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.